Hey, Prime members, you can listen to Watch What Crappens ad-free on Amazon Music. Download the app today. This episode is sponsored by Uber One.
We've all used Uber for rides, and I love using Uber Eats for food delivery, okay? Hello. I mean, I kind of live off of it. But have you ever heard about Uber One? Uber One is a membership that helps you save on Uber and Uber Eats.
With an Uber One membership, you get exclusive member perks, like up to 10% off Uber Eats and a $0 delivery fee on eligible orders. It just makes sense.
I'm always getting Ubers. I'm always doing Uber Eats. This is the perfect sort of membership for me.
I use this all the time. Some restaurants charge so much for the delivery fee, and I order a ton of food. I've saved hundreds of dollars using this.
One membership to save on Uber and Uber Eats. Join Uber One today. Go to uber.com/Uber1 to learn more.
$0 delivery fee and percentage off discount subject to order minimums and participating stores. Taxes and other fees still apply. If you're like me, you can't leave the house without grabbing your favorite pair of sunnies that fit your vibe, whatever the occasion.
At Sunglass Hut, you can find every shade of you with a curated summer product selection.
Check out the selection that includes a wide range of styles from the biggest brands like Dolce & Gabbana, Versace, Burberry, Ray-Ban, Oakley, and more, plus 12 shades only available at Sunglass Hut.
Their personalized services, both online and in-store, expert sales associates, and the latest technology mean you will easily find something perfect to elevate your summer look no matter how indecisive you are, hello, that's me, or how many styles you're after.
Oh, and if you need to find a special gift, Sunglass Hut has got you covered with a variety of customization and gift card options. I was just in there the other day.
Me too.
And it's really cool because I have a very large head and face, and I need huge sunglasses. And I was actually able to go online, and they have a feature where you can actually try the glasses on online. They put them on your face and show you what they'll look like. So,
yeah, I went in. I had no idea what I wanted to get. And Victor, the person who helped me, was so helpful to me. And he set up gave me a little tray, and he helped me pick out all the perfect look for me. And I walked out of there with 3 sets of sunglasses. It was wonderful.
Go and discover the special selection online at sunglasshut.com or in the store. Your summer look is waiting for you.
Watch what crappens. Watch what crappens. Cares what happens when there's so much that crappens. 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 Watch what crappens. Watch what crappens. Who cares what happens when there's so much that crappens? Watch what crappens. Watch what crappens. Who cares what happens when there's so much that crappens?
Hello and welcome to Watch What Crappens, a podcast about all that crap on Bravo that we just love to talk about. I'm Ben Mandelker, and joining me today is the wonderful and delicious Mr. Ronnie Karam. Hi, Ronnie. How are you?
Well, hello, Banooni. How are you?
Doing quite well. Just still enjoying, basking in the post-tour haze that we're in. Glory, maybe, is a better word. We are here today. We don't have any tour dates to announce. It's amazing. We can always shill our videos. We are doing videos. Yeah. I am broadcasting from my childhood home, which means that my face is obscured by both green screen and a microphone. So I am not a particularly telegenic sight right now, but Ronnie is beautiful and well lit and shiny and lovely and all Botoxed and smooth faced. So come watch our videos and look at his face. And you can get access to our videos on patreon.com/watchwhatcrappens. If you support on the Crappens On Demand level, you get access to the videos a full week before they become available to the public on YouTube. So go do that. We also have you would get access to our weekly bonus episode and our Discord server. This week's bonus episode took place at a train station and actually on the train itself in Boston. So it's a nice twist on the old airport snaps episodes that we do. So we had fun with that. And I think that's really about it. Today we're just going to dive into the first of 2 Below Deck Sailing Yacht episodes. And I had a realization, Ronnie. We were wondering, why has Bravo been burning through the latter half of this season doing 2... Is this our 3rd week in a row with 2 episodes?
Yeah.
It's our 3rd week in a row. And then next week they don't have it. And then the week after that, 2 more episodes and the season's done. So I was like, why are they doing this? And it's such a big scandalous season. I feel like they would milk this and let it build, but I think that they did it. My theory is I think they did it to coincide with Pride. I think because this was such a super Pride episode, or this episode and the next one sort of like, you know, the gays arch go between both episodes. I wonder if they did it so that way they could have their Pride Below Deck episode land during Pride.
Oh, I don't know. My theory is that they are burning it off because it's doing okay, but it's not as big as their other Below Decks, and so they're trying to burn it off to get the Australian one Down Under back on screen as soon as possible, because if they don't keep this train on track, it's going to derail, because there's 19 million Below Decks right now. Did you see the new commercial with Captain Jason on
I did.
Too Sexy for My Boat? Too sexy for my boat, so sexy it hurts, or whatever that song is.
Yeah, it was so weird because when we were warming up at, I think it was in Boston, that song was playing during our sound check, and I was singing it, and you're like, Ben, you know all the lyrics to that song. I was like, oh, I do. And then last night when I was driving home from dinner, it started playing randomly on my phone, and so I was singing along. I was like, isn't it funny that I know the lyrics to this song? And then I got home and I saw that commercial, and they had Captain Jason doing the song, and I was like, whoa, all this like I'm too sexy stuff happening.
It means you're too sexy.
Yeah. I'm unfortunately not too sexy for really anything, but I aspire to be there at some point. But yeah, I did see that. I mean, I love Below Deck Australia, but I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of Below Decks down the pipe. Now, there's a lot of Below Decks on right now. It's a lot.
It's a lot.
But that being said, it's sad to hear that this one's not doing so well in the ratings, because I actually think this one is the best one.
Well, what do you think? I just read, first of all, Bravo ratings Bravo on Twitter, I think is what they're called. Love you. Huge shout out to you guys and all the work that you do. Whoever they're getting their ratings from, Showbiz Daily or something like that, is supposedly stopping their ratings, which is going to ruin my life. This is how I judge everything. I go to Ratings Bravo on Twitter and I read what is going on. So don't steal this from me. And they just announced today that they probably are going to have to end their service. Very upset about it. Okay, just have to say that. Love you guys. Thanks for everything you do. But I was looking today and the ratings are like 700,000, which isn't bad. I mean, that's a Housewives show. It's an Orange County episode. And Atlanta lately, too, which is sad. But they're all kind of around that. So I don't think it's bad, but I think they like their Below Decks to be 1 million or above. But you know what? Guess what? I talk a lot of shit on this show, but I'm no professional. I don't really know what's good or what they consider good. What the fuck do I know?
Yeah, and also, like, there's actually so many more things that are taken into account when it comes to shows and metrics these days, because there's the ratings, then there's overnights, then there's the 7-day ratings, there's the DVR things, then they have their streaming numbers on Peacock, their next day streaming numbers on Peacock, which maybe are not necessarily released, and just ratings in general across the board. The entire idea of Nielsen's is totally getting undermined by a lot of the streamers because they don't release their stats and yada 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 yada. So I always feel like I don't really know, and I think that now audience engagement and mentions on social media is like actually a factor that really matters a lot more. But I that's what I feel like I heard, but I don't want to pass it off as fact. I'm not going to say that. But that being said, I feel like this, if the ratings are slumping, I don't think it's because of this show. It may be just Below Deck fatigue in general. Like maybe the world needs just like 6 weeks off. And then, because unlike, each Below Deck has its own flavor, but the flavor is not really as distinct as every real housewife. So we can go from housewife to housewife to housewife to housewife, and it sort of works because each housewife feels really distinct every show. But like Below Deck there's like some distinction, but it's mainly the same stuff every time. So I think like we could use like a little break to build up the demand a little bit if that's an issue. But that being said, I think this Below Deck is my favorite, and it is also the messiest. It is also one of the messiest shows on Bravo in general, so it's surprising that its ratings are not reflecting that.
Well, when people kind of come onto a magic trick, they don't want to see the magic trick anymore. You know what I mean? They get sick of it. They're like, oh, well, I mean, I know how it works. I know what's going to happen, and there's no magic behind it. For years, I think we've been watching this thinking, oh my God, how is Gary doing this? Like, what is wrong with him? Does he know that he's wrong? And then we find out he's just the most insecure, desperate. I mean, especially, we've always kind of known it, but this season, Tonight, especially, in tonight's episode, especially, I think the shine is just off, and now it's just sad. It's like, it's like you want to feel compassion for the guy standing under the freeway overpass, but at the same time, he's like jerking off at you, and you don't want to open your window. That's what Gary's like to me right now. It's like, you need help, you know? I don't find it fun anymore. I find it like gross. I'm like, you're gonna get in trouble in the future, because this is a guy who just is like, ugh, and he can't like keep his hands, and he's like just getting grosser and like crinklier and smellier and gooier and just like crustier, and he's just, at some point someone's gonna call the police, Gary, and there's gonna be a lot of video evidence of you being a creep. So maybe the audience is just grossed out. Okay,
it could be that. It's interesting, Gary's arc. You know, his first season, I feel like his vibe was this like puckish man who's like a ladies' man, and he's in a love triangle. It's like, oh man, I love ladies. You know, I'm in a love triangle. And it was sort of like, oh, look at Gary, he's such a player. And then his second season, it's like, oh man, there's something kind of sad about this guy. And then this season, it's like, oh wow, this person is tragic and desperate and like just beyond even sad. Just
he's like a used condom. It's like watching a used condom try to date, and it's just gross. I mean, especially on a show that's about cleaning. At this point, it's just unsanitary, and the people who watch it, because you know, Below Deck, I think, does do so well because it is about people just cleaning. I mean, I think that there is something about that. That's why those house cleaner shows do so well. People love us, like Find Your Joy or whatever that lady's name is. Spark Your Joy. Does this spark joy?
Spark
that
Joy,
lady?
yeah. Marie Kondo.
People love to watch some cleaning, but you know, it's like you're cleaning, but then you're inviting a raccoon into your house. You know what I mean? And you just don't feel bad for the person cleaning, because you're like, stop fucking the raccoon in your house. And that's how I feel watching the show. It's gross. So we open, because it is also a show about rich people. So this week, I thought they're going to get away from their Southern Charm ripoff music, because we open with some White Lotus-esque music. It's like...
Yeah, I noticed the White Lotus music.
Just thrown in with a little Gary laughing.
Gary. I forgot to mention that when I was driving in the car after Right Said Fred came on, I started just singing along, but I started singing along only saying Gary. So whatever the song was, I was like, Gary, Gary, ga, Gary, Gary, ga. And I found that's really fun to sing along to songs by just saying Gary. That was, by the way, Katy Perry that was singing.
Gary, you're a Gary, Gary, you're a
Gary girls, Gary, 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 Gary girls, Gary.
Show me your Gary. Yeah, Gary. God, I hate Katy Perry. I heard her on Smartless. What an asshole she is. You know, I really liked her in her like fireworks and the boobies phase, but her American Idol phase and then doing interviews on Smartless phase, not so great. You're an asshole.
Not so strong.
Okay, talk about someone who needs to take a breather. It's her. She needs to go someplace with Gary, and they both just need to relax.
I just still always am amused that Katy Perry evicted nuns from her house. I mean, that's kind of amazing. I love that. So Glenn, they're all gathering because Glenn has just basically yelled at Daisy for not tending to that guy's head after he crashed into a window and was bleeding for 15 minutes. So Glenn is like, you know, Tim walked into a window here, Gary made a radio call, and no one in the interior even responded. We need to be able to communicate at all times on this boat. And if we ever have a fire, and we can't reach you guys or some emergency, it could be a real problem.
Listen, if we have a fire, if Lucy falls out of bed into a fire, how are we going to deal with that with no radios? If Lucy falls out of bed into a fire, but there's no one to hear about it on the radio, was there ever a Lucy? Was there ever a fire? Did Lucy have a graduate from uni?
Lucy is currently on fire, guys. Now, what are you guys doing about it? She's like, I've caught myself on fire. So Daisy's like, well,
pissed.
just so you know, you can't hear the radios down in the laundry or the guest area. I'm like, okay, Daisy, this is a little late to be coming up with that bullshit excuse after several years.
Especially when there's 3 of you on interior, so you're all in the laundry and you're all in the guest area. Well, come on now. So he's like, what that is an excuse, and it's not where the situation is going to stop. And Chase is like, how do you tell someone they're being too defensive? It's not the range, it's not the boat. You fucked up. Just own it. Let's do a shot from between your boobs. Ooh-wee.
Ken's like, all right, well, if you say the radio's an issue, we're going to work on that. We'll test it out and everything. But you know what, though? That's still 15 minutes that no one's around Tim, okay? So Gary's like,
But it's also, can I just point out, I mean, I do think the staff is completely wrong here, but can we just also point out real quick, it was also 15 minutes that Tim literally stood there bleeding, going, I'm bleeding, but I'm bleeding, but I'm bleed. Like, you don't even lift your own shirt up? I mean,
I know.
The guy just didn't give a fuck, It's like he hit his head pretty hard, I think.
Yeah, well, I think he was like building up capitals to have he wants to have like one big final, like gentle complaint. He's like, no, because if I go and ask for an ice bag now, that's not going to be full of like passive aggression the way if I wait 15 minutes and ask for it, then it'll really hit hard. So Gary's like, well, the whole crew knows the radio works, so it seems like you, Sarah, blah, blah, blah. And Daisy's like, well, I think the point is valid, but I don't think that if we're in the laundry and the boat's on fire that you wouldn't come and get there and save us, ha! I'm like, no, Daisy, you're wrong. You're wrong. You're
You're
wrong.
wrong. And also, they were parking the boat. So you may not like the example that was used, but everybody else was literally working while you were talking about your fucking sister Bonnie for 20 hours straight. Okay?
Yeah.
Because I like that they kept cutting back to her going, well, Bonnie, she likes to walk. Like if you ask Bonnie, are you going to walk, you're going to ride the bike, you're going to take our bus. 90% of the time, she's going to walk. That's Bonnie, that crazy bitch.
I know, she kept going on and on about Bonnie. So then Glenn starts doing a radio test to make sure the radios work downstairs, which is hilarious because he's basically calling Daisy's bluff. So they're just sitting there and going to all the rooms and checking it all out and stuff.
They're going into every single room, and Mads is sitting by Gary and she goes, you see, mine doesn't work. I didn't hear anything on mine. And he's like, hey, your volume's turned all the way down. She's like, shut up, Gary. So then Gary, Captain's like, well, Gary's saying, Glenn, I'm in the master. Blah, 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 blah. Can you hear me? Very clearly. All right, go to the passerelle. All right, go to the crow's nest. All right, go inside of a laundry machine while it's turned on. Okay?
And Gary keeps on saying, loud and clear, loud and clear. So everyone's cracking up because Gary is totally, loving this situation where he can just kind of like take the piss out of Daisy. And then they're all joking that like Gary's going to be like, oh, I'm, in Oblia or I'm in Porto Cervo or whatever. And just be like, I can hear you loud and clear. And Daisy's like, I'm
fucking over it. She just goes to her room and pouts. They're cracking up because Gary's like, I'm in the lies now, Glenn. I'm in the lies. And he's like, well, there is a little bit of static in there, but I can hear you for the most part.
I'm on Captain Sandy's boat. That's Daisy's voice. So anyway, guess what, Ronnie? Was this what you were teeing up for? The return of the Southern Charm music? Because it's back now.
It's back.
It's back. They're cleaning to Southern Charm. Yeah.
It's like the Whitney Feeds the Dogs music from Southern Charm.
While Patricia asked for a martini. Whitney, get me a martini and a feather duster.
Yeah.
So, Daisy is upset, and she's like, it's that feeling when you feel like you're trying to do your best and being constantly told you're not good enough. I'm like, you were not doing your best. You were yammering on about Bonnie as if she were Julia Roberts and you just ran into her at the grocery store, okay? That's not doing your best.
So Mads is talking to Lucy, they're cleaning, and she goes, well, I mean, I guess if Bonnie's staying in this room, I mean, don't even bother just doing the bathroom. Just put towels down. Like, what the hell? You don't want Bonnie to have a clean toilet? Can Bonnie get a clean toilet?
They've heard a lot of stories at this point. They were down there in that galley. It's like, and there was one time where Bonnie went to McDonald's and actually threw up through the drive-through window onto the worker. It's amazing what she can do.
So Daisy goes to kiss Colin goes to kiss Daisy to cheer her up, and she's like, "Thanks for checking on me." He's like, "Well, that's great, no problem. I mean, it's more than you did for Tim, am I right?" So shut up, you motherfucker! So then Bonnie pulls up, and Bonnie goes, "Let the fun begin." I was like, "Oh my god, it's a larger Daisy with like brown hair." I love it. I love Bonnie already.
Yeah, she's a multiverse Daisy.
It's like a taller Daisy. Bring her in.
Yeah, I was like, oh God, I know this one is going to get wasted. So
they both love comma eyebrows, or what do you call them? Apostrophe eyebrows. They're both they've got sister apostrophe eyebrows.
Well, we both have the same punctuation. So Daisy hasn't seen Bonnie in 3 years.
Punctuation apostrophe S is what I meant to say.
We don't like proper grammar, but we do love putting in an apostrophe in things. So, Daisy hasn't seen her sister in 3 years, mainly because of COVID. And Bonnie I'm
sorry. If you haven't seen your sister in 3 years, you just don't want to see your fucking sister. Okay. And I get it. But it's time to stop blaming COVID for ignoring our family. You know what I mean? I think at this point, we just need to be honest with our families and be like, I haven't seen you because I don't like you. And frankly, I'm sick of being called fat every time I come to your house. So suck a dick and call me, when you're sick with something and need some support. Otherwise, I'm out of here. I'll talk to you on FaceTime, loser.
I haven't seen Bonnie in 3 years since we killed that hitchhiker going across the Sahara Desert in Northern Africa.
I haven't seen Bonnie since we got a letter in the mail that was written with taped together letters cut out from magazines that said, "I know what you did last summer."
I haven't seen Bonnie since we robbed a bank in Bulgaria. We said we go our separate ways, leave no trace. But now enough time has passed so we can get drunk together.
Haven't seen Bonnie since Wheel of Fortune started the chase after we stole all their apostrophes off the board.
Haven't seen Bonnie since we burned down the last Radio Shack in Latvia. They were after us for many years.
The Radio Shack in Latvia.
Well, it's going out of business. Why not help it along the way?
Oh, good. All right. I quit.
But yeah, they clearly have very deep and disturbing sister issues that they didn't make the effort to see each other.
You can tell that they've kicked each other's ass before. You can just, because she's like, I love Bonnie.
Commercials. Here comes one right now.
Ronnie and Ben here. Since we started the podcast, we've dissected a lot of shows that have featured hilarious, insane, and internet-breaking moments. Okay, Ben, what is your pick for the most insane Bravo fight?
I want to throw it back to the crazy leg throwing fight. See what I did there? Throwing on Real Housewives of New York, which I mean, that's a classic. And for those people who do not know about it, first of all, shame on you. Just kidding. No shame. But former Real Housewife of New York City, Aviva Drescher, was responsible for one of the most bizarre cat fights in the history of Real Housewives. Because while she was yelling her iconic line of "the only thing that is artificial or fake about me is this woman threw her prosthetic leg across the floor at Le Cirque. Okay? It horrified everyone.
Yeah, Aviva really sent the internet into a frenzy, and she won instant immortality status, even if not another season, And on the topic of wins and legs, we wish break a leg to all the artists competing on Audible's music competition podcast Breakthrough, who are about to perform their final songs before the show crowns a winner.
I'm just like, I can't believe how close we are to the series finale, by the way. I mean, I just realized, it is right here. It is upon us. I honestly have no idea who's going to win.
I don't either, and I like that they still have not been actually seen by the judges. I think that that's really cool. The judges aren't going to see, literally see what they've been dealing with until the finale.
Yeah, and I like that the winners can be picked based on their growth and their overall performance throughout the season. I'm honestly, I really can't wait.
Yeah, it's really the way that they did it without kicking people off. It's just like, these are the people that we want to develop. Who did we develop the most? I really like, it's a nice twist on that genre. And I'm really excited to see who's going to win. We can't believe it's almost coming to an end. Join us to check out the next episode. Listen on Audible or wherever you get your podcasts. Go to audible.com/Crappens. That's audible.com/Crappens.
Hi, I'm Michael Patrick King, host of the official Max Companion podcast, and just like that, The Writer's Room. Each episode, members of The Writer's Room and I unpack moments from Season 2, sharing juicy details you can only hear from us. Stream And Just Like That Season 2 starting June 22nd on Max, and listen to And Just Like That, The Writer's Room on Max or wherever you get your podcasts.
So then we see Bonnie. She's like, "How was last charter?" And Daisy's like, "I'm a bit emotional, to be honest with you." And she tells us about Bonnie. She's like, "Bonnie, she followed in my footsteps. She's a yacht chef in South Africa. I never worked with Bonnie, and I never plan on working with Bonnie. We'd kill each other. Absolutely kill each other."
Bravo's like, okay, taking notes. Next season, Bonnie is the chef on Sailing Yacht. Got it.
Yeah, I think Alicia's doing a great job as a chef. As a cast member, she's boring the fuck out of me. So I say, time for Bonnie. Because Bonnie will fuck everybody that Daisy fucked. Bonnie literally doesn't care. With her sister, probably. With Daisy, as we see later.
Yeah, Bonnie, I don't know which. I assume it'll be Sailing Yacht, but if it's not Sailing Yacht, Bonnie will wind up on one of the below decks. Just mark my words.
This was Bonnie's audition, and she passed her audition with flying apostrophe eyebrowed colors. She's wonderful. I fucking love Bonnie.
She really is. So they're like walking around, and they're like sitting in a room, and Bonnie's like, "All right, well, tell me stuff you can't tell everyone else here." Daisy's like, "Okay, well, Gary's hooking up with my stew, and she likes Alex, and Alex like her, and like obviously I've been hooking up with Colin, so." And she goes, "Oh, every girl's dream, Colin." And she's like, "Ah."
Then it cuts to Colin going, "Blah!" Yeah. Burping. So it's like, and also it came out that Gary and I had sex, and I was in a love triangle with Colin and Gary, and I didn't really know what was happening. And Bonnie's like, "Shut, girl." And Daisy's like, "I hate your nails." And she's like, "Go fuck yourself." And then they roll around on the ground and put feet on each other's face.
Yeah, and Bonnie basically is like, "Well, it's good that you're not with Gary, because the moment that you get with Gary, he probably wouldn't appreciate you, which is a shame because you're quite suited for each other, but he'd take advantage of it and go on to someone else." Basically says
I love that the way you're suited for each other, the way that you're both really dicks. God.
Well, you're both drunkards with low standards.
But they're on to Gary, and I really love it. Because Daisy's like, yeah, because then Gary's like claiming, quote unquote, that he has feelings, which is bullshit. And she's like, "Yeah, fuck Gary." So then they're getting ready, and Bonnie just walks up to the bar with Chase and Alex and introduces herself and kisses Gary and meets Glenn and all that good stuff. Mm-hmm. And they finally leave to go out, and Captain Glenn's like, "Oh, finally." And I'm like, oh, God, what is he going to be up to today? I hope it's some SEAL fucking documentary.
While playing solo chess. So Chase is like into Bonnie. He's like, "I'd hook up with Bonnie. That'll be someone who'd be good for me." And then they sit down at the table, and Bonnie's like, "Okay, I'd like to order 20 tequilas. And what are you guys having?"
And Chase is like, "Hey, Bonnie, can you chug a beer, Bonnie?" And Daisy's like, "Better vodka." And Bonnie's like, "I should show him a party trick." And we never got to her party trick. But I want to see Bonnie's party trick.
Her party trick was chugging vodka. That was it. But they didn't show it regardless. And
Daisy's not like, a party trick. I feel like her party trick is like bending her toe backwards, or like, I don't know. I feel like it's a real good party trick, or like popping out an eye. You know how some people can just pop out a glass eye? She'll be like, "What? One time I barfed so hard when I was wasted at a McDonald's that I popped out an eye. So it's glass. Shocker. I actually keep cocaine in here. Anybody want to snort?"
I feel like she can perform Ode to Joy by making fart sounds with her armpit. That's like her party trick. "Do you want to hear some Beethoven?" So, Daisy is like, "Oh, not to be undermining, but Bonnie, why don't you tell everyone about the time you got kicked out of boarding school?" And Bonnie's like, No. That's not a good story. I mean, who cares about some 500-year-old wing of a school burning down to a crisp? I mean, I was a naughty kid. I'm much better now.
So is anybody else surprised that Daisy and Bonnie, well, presumably Daisy. I mean, I don't even know. But anybody surprised that they were sent to boarding school? They don't seem like boarding school types.
I feel like Bonnie was a terror to the nuns. I feel like Bonnie was the one who was really like cheering on Katy Perry. She's like, yeah, give them what they deserve.
Yeah, I'm on Katie's side on this one. Fuck those nuns.
She probably did some put Tabasco sauce in their habits or something like that. Like, little Bonnie, we must send you away from here.
So Matt's like, oh my God, you sound like me. Shut up, Matt. No one's talking to you. So Chase is like, what kind of drunk would you describe Daisy as, guys? And Bonnie's like, a great one. Chase is like, agreed. It's just, what kind of drunk am I, Daisy? And Daisy's like, a mess with terrible fingernails.
And Bonnie goes, not anymore, Daisy. I haven't blacked out in ages. Well, except for the other night. Well, I guess I can't quite remember all the times I've blacked out since I last blacked out, because I guess I blacked out while blacking out, I suppose. But anyway, I think I'm much better now.
So then the captain's on the boat looking through all the food drawers, and he's like, no, disgusting, vegetables, no thing, bingo, ice cream, sweet.
He's like Glendy Locks. So now everyone's doing shots, and Bonnie does a shot, and afterwards she goes, Barack Obama. So then she toasts the crew. I forget what she toasts. Probably something like, thank you all for having me. Thanks for all dealing with my awful sister, and hope to never see us again. Good night.
So they talk about her being a chef, and she is a she works on a private dive boat, but they use it as an expedition yacht. And Daisy's like, he brings on a whole casino team, and they just party. And Alex is like, dope. That sounds like my dream boat. Do you have scuppers?
So Colin's like, well, why don't you talk to her about it then? And Alex is like, well, I will once Chase is done talking. And she's like, what? I'm not domineering. So, and Alex is like, yeah, but she's been staring at you like all night, man. They're kind of like teeing up this idea that Bonnie and Chase are going to maybe hook up by the end of the night.
And he's like, well, I'm just here, so if someone wants to jump my bones, they sure can do it. And Matt's like, you have to put in a little effort. Really, Mads? You're with Gary. Gary doesn't even like take the straw out of his hair before banging you. You know what I mean?
But I like Mads' approach to it, because Mads knows she's with Gary, and she knows she's just, it's like when you play a board game, there's sometimes you're midway through the game, you know you're not going to win. So at that point, you just go along with it, and you just tell people, I'm not going to win. I'm not going to win. That's where she's at. She's like, yeah, I fucked it up. I hooked up with Gary. It's okay. This is my life. This is my arc for the season. I'm stuck with Gary the dirtbag.
Or it's like you can't complain about the food you got off the tray at the Costco because it was free. You know, you're like, did not love that chicken sample, but I'm not going to complain. Like, what am I not going to eat it? It's free.
Yeah. It's like easy. It's like, when you splurge on some ice cream in the afternoon, and then later at dinner when they're like, do you want dessert? You're like, I want it, but I had ice cream. So
no, I don't. Actually, no, you lost me there. So Chase is like, well, I'm dependable. I've got a massive cock. I was like, well, you sound like a good horse to rent. Like, dependable with the big, well, congratulations. Still don't want to date you. Okay, you're going to need more of that.
Yeah, or a very successful OnlyFans account to be, always putting up that content on a dependable schedule and providing a large cock. So Daisy starts kissing Colin's ear, and Bonnie's like, ew, don't be all coupley in front of me. I don't like it. It's weird. It's like the time I caught Sister Mary Grace making out with Sister Mary Patrick, and I put Tabasco in their habits. It was disgusting.
So Colin's like, why is it weird? And she's like, well, face value, you wouldn't be the kind of people to hook up because she's fancy and you're more like me. We're three, you're like the same kind of vibe. Let's just say, Daisy, and I'm happy that someone like you tolerates Daisy. So is she saying... Wait, what is she saying?
I think she's
that
saying
he's trash.
That no, yeah, she's saying that I think Bonnie is saying oh, you and me, Colin, we're kind of like salt of the earth people, and Daisy is fancy, and I'm glad that her fanciness doesn't turn you off, that you're down with.
In what world is Daisy fancy? I guess that's what confused me, because I think I wrote it down correctly, but then when I reread it, I was like, Daisy's fancy? Since when is fucking Daisy fancy?
I really don't know, but I think that there's much more of a sliding scale in that family than we may realize.
I think so. Daisy wasn't kicked out of boarding school, so she's fan. It's like Daisy won the, taking bottle caps off with your teeth contest in junior high, which made her fancy because she has a medal now. Like, I don't know.
Daisy got to do a chorus recital, so that made her fancy. She's like, Bonnie's like, I never did find out how those last 3 notes were of that chorus.
Well, and that was a real shame for Bonnie because she can do the Ode to Joy with the farts on her armpits.
I know.
So it's a really tough pill to swallow.
So Colin's like, my relationship with Daisy does seem crazy because it's so different, and for us to be connecting on this level is unusual, but the feelings are true and genuine, and we make each other feel good most of the time.
And then we go to Bonnie, Gary, Daisy, and Alicia smoking. And so Gary's like, hello, Tweedledee, Tweedledum. And Bonnie's like, guess who's dumb? And so Daisy's like, okay, so tell him what you were saying about us earlier. And she's like, oh, you two together are dumb, you and Daisy. But as in your best friend, when you're alone together, it's amazing. Like if we were on a desert island, you'd live happily ever after. But as long as there's other things for you to stick your penis in, well, never mind. If there's a deserted island and there's a Wilson, you're still done for. Because you're fucking the volleyball. That's what I'm saying. You're going to have a Sharpie and your dick in a volleyball. Pretty quickly.
But what do I know? I'm just some girl who never learned the last parts of Ave Maria. So then Daisy's like, well, if we were stuck on a desert island together, we'd probably fuck each other, sorry. And then Gary's like, yes, we'd repopulate the island, which, God forbid, whatever terrible island that is, like, no one ever go to it. So meanwhile, Alicia's there, and she's like, all right, well, what's going on between you and Colin then? Is this all you two, Gary and Daisy? Are you two meant to happen then instead? Daisy's like, oh, no, I'm totally with Colin. Not sure I'd fuck him on a desert island, but, I'm with him. And Bonnie's just acknowledging that when I'm alone with Gary, things are very, very sweet and different and flirty and borderline inappropriate. That's all.
And Alicia's like, what? And she gets all pearl clutchy as if she's not totally flirting with Colin Chase this whole time. And I know that she's drawn a line, which is good for her, but she's also doing that, like, drunk at midnight, like, Chase, come here, let's hug. And then they hug for a really long time. So, I don't know. I think you need to stop clutching those pearls because I'm sure your boyfriend back home's not loving those scenes very much.
So Daisy is like, well, I always said things are complicated. I never denied it. And Alicia's still doing that thing like, does she want both of them? And then a producer goes, wait, what? Does she? I don't know why the producers caught off guard. But Alicia's like, oh, I don't know. So
they're just trying to get more of a reaction out of Alicia. You know how they just keep asking them the same questions multiple times? Does she want both of them? Wait, does she want both of them? Wait, I don't know. It's like, got it. We got that.
I
one.
know.
That's the Alicia we need.
Yeah, they just changed their tone.
Yeah.
So Gary is now Gary's like, well, Daisy's got a boyfriend now, so I can't even go there. And Alicia's like, this is too weird. I'm getting out of here. And but Bonnie, I don't love this with Bonnie, where she's like, well, it's such a bummer. That's the only way you recognize that you like her is that's it. I felt like, I'm sorry, no, I take that back. I thought Bonnie was trying to push them together in that moment, but as I read the note, I realized she wasn't. So I take it back. Love you, Bonnie.
I think she's got a very accurate read. She's saying the only way you like her is when you can't have her because Gary needs to have totally someone accurate. Newly interested at all times. That's like his thing. But I think she's also calling it that they obviously like each other. And I think it's obvious pretty much to everybody at this point that it's Gary and Daisy, right? It's not Colin and Daisy. It's not Colin. It's just not.
I see Colin and Daisy, but I see Gary undermine. I see Gary. I feel like there was some sort of spark between Gary and Daisy, but like that spark should die out. And Gary is, rather than supporting a new relationship, he is happy. He's like really undermining it. He's really undercutting it.
Oh yeah,
really flirtatious.
100%.
Keeping whatever chemistry that they had alive.
Right, but Daisy's not doing anything to dissuade that. I
agree. I would like Daisy to draw firmer boundaries with Gary.
And she does it like she's enjoying it. You know what I mean? I think there's like she's enjoying the chemistry and like so everybody knows we have chemistry. What's the big deal? Colin knows, like it's no big deal. And I don't know. Look, when Colin and Daisy talk about each other, you know how when couples who've been together talk about each other, they're like, "Oh my God, they fill my sky with stars." They say shit like that. When Colin and Daisy, both of their reactions are like, "Oh, it's Colin. It's comfortable." And Colin's like, "Yeah, it's comfortable." I'm like, "What are you guys, sweatpants to each other?" You know what I mean? It's like this is a review for like Lululemons.
Yeah. But I also see Daisy as being more reserved when talking about that kind of stuff. I also, by the way, I do want to create space for the truth that like I would like Daisy to be like, "Gary, you have to stop. This is inappropriate," But I also know that like sometimes people are actually really uncomfortable in those situations and they kind of don't know what to say and they want to like just keep things smooth, and they're afraid of upsetting the balance and the relationship chemistry of the three of them. And she even says so later on that she's like afraid of affecting the friendships, which I think really speaks more to actually the deficits in Gary's personality, that like she knows that the moment she says, "Gary, stop, this is inappropriate," that he's going to punish her in some way, right? And that's fucked up, and that's what people deal with in workplaces all the time.
I mean, okay. Well, I don't have a disagreement for that. I'm just saying, as if I was Colin, I would be looking at them like, "Oh, these two are still into each other."
Yeah,
I think like to me, the charisma's obvious.
I guess for me, I'm like
the chemistry.
My instinct is to watch this and be like, why is she not saying like, "Gary, stop it"? Like I'm not interested in you, and I'm exploring something with Colin, and you're being inappropriate right now. Like that's what I'm saying. But it's more like, but I can see a perspective where someone says, "Oh, well, like, I didn't do that because of X, Y, and Z," and I'd be like, "Oh, okay, I can understand that." But I know it's sort of.
I mean, if she ever says that, okay, but like the situation that they're in now doesn't seem like she's saying that. It just seems like she's got a lot of chemistry with Gary, and she's still trying to date Colin. I really think that they would be a throuple, and that theme comes up later in this episode, the throuple theme, and I wonder, like they'd probably be a good throuple.
I think they'd be a terrible throuple. Oh,
really?
That would be such a dysfunctional throuple. Gary cannot share his toys. It would be terrible.
Well, anyway, so don't worry. We've got 19 more hours to talk about this today, so we'll be back. But I think Bonnie has a very good read on Gary, and I think Daisy has a very good read on Gary because Daisy is the one who's told Bonnie all of the stuff about Gary. So I think they both got a pretty good read, and you guys just stay away from him because he's gross. Okay, you're reading him properly. Now, danger. Okay, read the caution sign.
So now Alicia goes back to the table and she's like, "Well, there's a lot going on back there." And Colin's like, "What's happening?" And Alicia's like, "Just a lot of chit chat, I'll tell you that much." And Colin looks suspicious, but he's also just like, not going to explore it. So Daisy comes back and Bonnie says that she likes that Gary and Daisy are honest about their relationship. And Gary's like, "Well, yeah, like only recently, because like she's been beating around the bush about everything, and like knowing that Colin and Daisy are together, having Daisy's sister saying that they are not suited for each other, like here we are, like that we're not suited. It hurts. It all hurts, and like we are. That hurts a lot." I'm like, "Oh, okay. I'm so sorry, Gary. I'm so sorry."
Poor Gary. Poor
by
guy.
this entire situation.
Yeah. And he's like, "I'm in denial. Maybe I just haven't accepted it yet. But right now, it feels like dead butterflies." Dead butterflies. Like, there's the name of an autobiography if I've ever heard it. So then the captain is eating his ice cream, and he's just like, delicious. He's on an ice cream journey today. I love that this guy lives his fucking life, I feel like the other shows, the captain's always hiding, or at least Captain Sandy. Like they always cut back to the boat, and Captain Sandy's like, you just hear, Diplomat on Netflix playing over and over on a loop. Or Captain Lee's like, just, I don't think he ever does it. I think maybe one time we saw him working out, Yeah,
exactly. Most of them, they stay like hidden away. But
you just hear Captain Lee practicing in front of the mirror. God damn it. No, wait, hold on. Wait. More confidence. God damn it. All right, let's try this again. God damn it. All right, I'm going to take 5. I'm going to take 5, guys.
Well, you know what? Captain Glenn, I think, is the only one who has to sleep in a room with a camera because the boat is too small for him to have his own room. So he has to sleep with a crew member. So I think he gets it the worst.
Yeah.
So now that everyone's like back in the vans and they're like partying, getting drunk, and Bonnie, like they're asking Bonnie who she thinks is the fittest in the crew, and I don't even remember who she says, but
She says, "You're all gorgeous."
Oh, that's right. And
But she's like, "But we've got to have a competition." But then we don't. And then Gary's like, "The person who loses has to tell Chase that Bonnie wants to fuck him." And then in the other van, Alex, Lucy, and Alex are in the back, is what I wrote. But it's Alex, Lucy, and Mads.
It's Mads, Lucy, and Alex. Yeah, and they do another one of their three-way kisses, and Bonnie's like, "No, kiss like you mean it. That was bullshit. Kiss again." And so they're kissing, and then Bonnie winds up kissing Alex, and Chase is sitting right there. Then Chase is all bummed out because Chase thought that Bonnie was going to kiss him.
Yeah, because Bonnie really makes out with Alex. She's like you mean it, people. And then she's like, blah, blah, blah. And Mads is screaming, and Chase is just watching like, "Did anyone hear me when I just said I had a huge dick?"
Commercials. Here comes one right now.
I'm going to say something scandalous, Ronnie.
Go on.
Plants are meat. And not only are they meat, they're delicious, especially if they're from Impossible Foods.
They taste like beef.
Exactly. Impossible is making meat history this summer.
Yeah, they are. Summer of Impossible.
I am so excited to be spending time cooking my summer foods, all that good stuff. And guess what? We can use Impossible sausages, Impossible brats. I mean, it's going to be a great summer for Impossible Foods.
Impossible beef is made from plants and 19 grams of protein per serving, and it's better for the planet.
And it's meat.
Plant meat, correct. So if you're looking for something to grab for your grill, grab some Impossible beef.
Summer of Impossible.
Start making meat history today. Just head over to the meat aisle at your local grocery store, grab some Impossible beef or patties, and get grilling. So Lucy's laughing and she's like, "Poor Chase, it's always so close. But the satisfaction of watching a man get paid so hard, to get pied so hard. I mean, he just gets pied over and over again."
Chef's kiss. So they arrive, and this is where Alicia hugs Chase in the kitchen. She's like, "Oh, I just need a hug at midnight." And then Gary's like, "Oh, Chase, you're like the second best deckhand I've ever had. I just wish your personality complemented your work ethic." Blah, 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 blah.
So then Gary is getting in his shorts and Daisy's getting in her suit, and they pass, and he kind of like forces a kiss on her. He's like comes up on her and starts like trying to make out, and then he tells her, "Stop kissing me." She's like, "You did that, and then he goes up to Bonnie and he's like, "Your sister just kissed me right now."
It's so toxic. It's not even that Gary tries to kiss Daisy. He literally cause Daisy's just talking to him. She's just like, "Oh, you're going to put your board shorts on," or whatever. And then he just kisses her. And then she's like, "Whoa." And then like he kind of like gets her up against the wall, and she's like, "Whoa, hold on. Stop it. You're kissing me. You did that. It is so pervy. I mean, it's so like, this guy is terrible. It's terrible. Not only is it like bad as like an HR violation, BT dubs, not that even matters, but also it's like she's hooking up with Colin. Like, Colin's your best friend, you respect Daisy. This is so disrespectful to both of them.
Yeah, I think Gary's looking at it like, well, Daisy was mine first before she was Colin's, and so Colin can't claim her. Like, he hasn't said that yet, but I have a feeling that's what he's thinking, because I can't imagine being friends with someone and acting like this.
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
also, by the way, let alone
and he's
Mads,
such
too.
a fucking narcissist. I know he's just thinking of it like, mine.
Yeah. And like, here he is moping around that he wants something more from Mads, while he's literally forcing kisses onto Daisy. And he's like, "Well, why doesn't Mads take this seriously? I guess I wanted something more and she didn't." It's like, you're such a piece of shit.
Yeah, and so she's like, "I can't hear this shit." This is Bonnie. And he's like, "Well, I'm trying to whisper it to you." She's like, "Oh, you love it. Shut your fucking face off." And Chase is like, "Both of you be quiet, because you're going to wake up Glenn." So poor Chase is left cleaning the mess while everybody else goes to the hot tub, or other people go to the hot tub. And Gary's picking up Mads and making out with her. This fucking guy.
Yeah, and then Colin is calling for Bonnie, or like they're trying to get Colin to go into the hot tub, but he won't get in the hot tub. I don't understand Colin's boundary issues with the hot tub. It used to be that he was in a relationship, so he didn't think it was appropriate, and then he's now not in a relationship, and then he was like, well, all the girls are too young. I don't want to be in a hot tub with all the girls. But now it's like Daisy's in there, the girl he's like hooking up with, and he still won't get in the hot tub. I don't understand his hot tub issues.
Well, every time they ask him to take off his shirt, he's like, no one wants to see this daddy, fatty body. So I wonder if he's got like body issues or something.
Maybe, which is funny because he's widely considered to be the hottest guy on the boat.
I know, for real. So, well, body issues don't really ever have to make sense, do they?
Yeah, that's true.
They're like irrational. Let me just tell you guys what I've learned. Bodies are disgusting. Humans are gross. So if you think you're gross, you're right, because you're a human being and you poop and you have boogers and you have eye boogers and your breath smells. So if you think you're gross, you're right. But you know what? Fuck anyway. That's what I say. Okay, so Gary and Maz are on a sun chair, and Gary's like, I like you. I want you to be in my life.
He's like, but you're in a different stage of your life. And Mads is like, well, what do you mean in your life? He's like, well, let's try to make this work and like try to get together, you know? I'm like, you just guessed. They actually just show, they go 20 minutes earlier. They show Gary kissing Daisy. I don't even have to say it. The show does it for me. So then Gary's like, well, you moved to Europe or I moved to the States. I mean, this guy's trying to make intercontinental moves. Like
he's like
actually
trying
moving
to
across oceans.
Yeah, he's trying to hook up with Daisy and get a green card. Well, this guy's hilarious. So Mads is like, don't you think that's a little fast? And she's like, he only wants me to be his girlfriend, so Alex can't have me. But I'm not an object that you can just have.
So Chase gets into his bed, and he mentions to Colin, because Colin's in his bed, and he mentions to Colin, he's like, hey, on my car ride back, Alex kissed Lucy, Madison, and Bonnie. He makes it sound like it was like an orgy back there when it was just like a stupid, like little, truth or dare kiss, basically.
Well, yeah, he does, but because Colin's like, are you going to go get any? Are you? Because Colin's still in that mode where he's just like, tell me the girl said, hey, do you want to be with? And he's like, no, I'm not going to hook up with Bonnie. She's too drunk to even be alive right now. And anyway, like Alex made out with her on the way back, and like Alex kissed Lucy, Mads, and Bonnie, or whatever,
Yeah.
Alex kissed Lucy, Mads, and yeah. So Colin's like, Alex and Maddie, really?
Chase goes, yeah. Colin goes, this is not good. Gary's on edge and he's a bit jealous and his competitive nature is going to start kicking in. Colin's basically like, next time Gary fucks with me, I'm going to shatter his world. I'm going to say that Mads hooked up with Alex. So, Now Daisy wants to go have sex with Colin in one of the guest rooms, and then Gary and Mads are kissing on the deck, and then Bonnie is, I guess, just wasted. So Daisy's like, Bonnie, oh my God, Bonnie, come with me. So they put Bonnie in the master cabin where she's just like wasted, and boys are horsing around. There's just like a lot of frenetic activity.
Yeah, it's party time. So Colin and Daisy go in the starboard room, okay? Then Gary and Mads go into the other guest room. And then Bonnie is in the center room. So all the doors are right next to each other. It's like in a little triangle. And Mads is like, Bonnie's in the master. Why is that room closed? And Gary's like, shall we see? Shall we walk in there? And she's like, oh, I'm not doing that. That's on you. So then we just hear Bonnie from behind the door going, oh my God, there's so much hot going on in there. I hear it. Oh God, that's hot. Listening to her sister bang Colin.
Yeah, because it's... by the way, we should mention at one point, Gary was like, should we go in there and fuck Bonnie? Like, he's like, shall we... she's totally wasted and incapacitated. How about we have sex with her? So then,
I thought he was saying, should we go into Colin and Daisy's room? Or, yeah, Colin and Daisy's room. That's what I thought he was saying. Like, let's fuck with them because they went into... No,
that did happen. That did happen too. But earlier than that. Before they went downstairs, when Gary saw Daisy bringing Bonnie downstairs, he was like, "Oh, Bonnie's gonna be in the master. Should we go in there and fuck Bonnie?" Like, that's actually illegal. But then when they did go downstairs, then he did want to go in the other room. So it's like ultimately, we wind up in this hallway, and there's so much sex happening. We hear dueling sex sounds. The audio department must have been like, what the hell is going on in here? It's just so wild.
This cast really doesn't care. This has always been the horniest cast. I remember the first... Was it the first? I guess it was the Gary season, Gary and Daisy's and Colin first season, when we were like, oh my God. Remember, it was such a huge deal that there were like 3 people who all wanted to make out together. It was like Gary and the 2 stews fighting over Gary, and they were going to have a threesome or something. And everybody was like, this is the most shocking thing from Below Deck's history that's ever happened. And now it's just a bordello.
I know.
Now the whole show's a floating fucking whorehouse,
And Gary and Daisy's first season came right on the heels of regular Below Deck, where Francesca got Liz fired for having, hooking up with James in a guest bedroom. She's like, that's a big no-no. You don't have sex in a guest bedroom. You're fired. Yeah. And then, so to go, we came out of that season. I feel like every time we watch one of these seasons, we come out as an expert on yachting. We're like, well, the rules of yachting are you don't have sex in guest rooms. That's not what you do. And we go into Sailing Yacht, and they're just going in there to bang every episode now.
Yeah. So everyone's banging. This is just a semen stained boat. When the boat has had a lot of issues at this point, I just think the boat's coughing. I think the boat is literally getting sick from being on this boat.
Yeah. By the way, for people who are interested in chartering the Parsifal 3, please enjoy these episodes. Think about what you'll be actually literally sleeping on top of.
So then the next day, Gary's like, don't leave me, Madison. Come love me. And she's like, I have all night. I've done that already. So she leaves, and Daisy and Colin bang again. We just hear them
yep.
Oh yeah, Colin. And we hear all that stuff. And then Bonnie's like, fuck that. And she goes in. And Daisy's like, oh my God, Bonnie with the bad nails. And she's like, are you having sex again, you sluts? I need love too. And she just crawls in bed with
she
them.
Just crawls in while they're Colin's literally naked in there. Daisy's in between Colin and Bonnie. And Bonnie's like, I don't care. She just slides into bed with him. Daisy's such a weird place to wake up. And Bonnie goes, I broke a nail. So then Daisy tells us, with Colin, the sexual energy between us is definitely alive. It was definitely up there. If you had many as girlfriends as Colin has had, you kind of expect it. I was like, oh, okay. I didn't realize that Colin had a lot of girlfriends.
And so then we go to Chase and Gary, and Chase is like, did you have fun? He's like, I did, yeah. And poor Chase, So now cleaning begins for the day. Alex is busted. Gary's running through Colin's running through the boat. I actually wrote Colin's running through the boat wrapped in a sheet, but I was like, that sounds like Gary. Maybe I wrote the name down wrong. But finally, it's Colin running through the boat wrapped in a sheet. I was just so proud of him.
Where did his underwear go? Could you not find it in the room?
I don't know, but I'm telling you, the guy does not want to be seen in states of undress like that. Although he does go back to his bedroom, porn cam, and gets naked there. So unfortunately, either he moved the camera or they moved the camera, so we didn't get the whole shot. And I want to know why we get boner shots of everybody else on this show, but we can't get a good Colin butt shot. Can I put a complaint in? That would be nice.
Yeah, we would like a butt shot from Colin.
I love Colin
very much.
Yeah.
So Colin is so he's running through, and Gary, of course, sees it, which, of course, is a visual reminder to Gary of what Colin and Daisy have been getting up to. So Gary's like, oh, yes, that's just what we need to see in the morning. See a doggy dog, blah, blah, blah. So now Bonnie has to leave, and Daisy's like, all right, well, I'll see you in another 3 years. I'm traumatized. Get out of my life, bitch.
Yeah, and it's time for her to go. And Mads is telling Lucy that everybody was banging last night down in this room. She's like, we're all culprits. And so then Gary's tickling Daisy's chin, because now he's in overdrive, because now he's full on competing with Colin, right? So he's tickling her chin, and he's like, Daisy had sex with Colin last night. And Bonnie says, they did, I saw it. And Colin's talking to Alex, and he's like, are you saying bye to your girlfriend? When did you make out with her? And Alex is like, yeah, we made out in the van ride. Chase looked really sad. It was funny. It was awesome. And Colin says, you cut his lunch. You cut his lunch.
So Bonnie tells Colin, she's like, look after Daisy, because I'm not going to be back for another 5 years, and don't fight. And then Daisy...
What does it mean to cut your lunch? What does it mean?
Sounds like it's... I just assume it's some Australian saying of Like he was going to have the lunch and maybe like you sliced it in half and you only got half the lunch, or maybe you didn't even get the lunch, or like, oh, maybe the lunch program was cut into school. So he was like, oh, good. So excited for lunch. And then lunch has been cut. So there's no more lunch for him because
it sounds nice to me. Like so he cut your lunch. I'm like, that was so nice. He cut my lunch.
Made my
Really?
sandwich into triangles.
Yeah, made my stack of 8 pieces of bread with peanut butter in between them into little triangles. Or just like cut up my steak for me so I don't have to do it. It sounds like love to me.
I can look it up if you want. I can do it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, let's do it.
We've only got 19 hours of Below Deck today. Let's say
I know.
cut lunch.
Your lunch.
Expression. Urban Dictionary, cut lunch.
Australian.
A technique used by Australian football players to cram their packages into the extremely small footy shorts provided to them. Okay.
I have looked into the Macquarie Dictionary, part of the Australian World Map, and it says, cut someone's lunch. To make a move on someone else's girlfriend, compare lunch cutter. Okay, I will compare lunch cutter. Oh, they don't give a link to lunch cutter? Thanks. Oh, here's
But you know what else is funny about this is that the first definition that I read from Urban Dictionary is actually what Colin has to do later in this episode. He has to cram his package into an extremely small pair of Speedos. Or I guess, I don't know, it's a pair of Speedo. A Speedo.
Well, I did a search for lunch cutter as per the recommendation of the Macquarie Dictionary, and it took me instead to something on Amazon called bento cutters. And I think these things that cut things into bento boxes.
You know what? I'm going to look up lunch cutter, and then I'm going to look up images and see if my husband's in here, because that sounds like my husband. Is there a hot guy?
Sandwich
Nope, there's
cutters.
a lady. Oh my God, am I straight?
Oh, it's a whole
What if
world
I'm straight?
of it's a whole world of making things that you can cut sandwiches into shapes.
Guys, I didn't know cutting lunch was such a huge thing. I mean, it's huge. There's like
Cutting
different
lunch.
shapes you can cut your lunch into. It's a huge trend.
It is actually a very exciting thing. Look,
One of them is called Lunch Punch, where you can take sandwiches and you can punch them into lunches. I mean, guys. All right. Well,
make
don't
a
say you never
shark.
learned anything from this show. That's for sure.
look. Oh, you can cut a sandwich into a lion paw and a lion. You see this right here on the screen? Oh, that's fun. I want a
That is
paw.
fun, but there's not a lot of meat left in your sandwich. You know what I mean? It's not. They're not really thinking of your hunger level there. That's like an outline.
What is? I wonder what the sandwich looks like after. Oh, look at this. Okay, here's an example of using the. Oh, I love that. No, you don't. It's not that you cut the sandwich. You just cut the bread, and then it looks like a lion stepped on your sandwich.
Aw.
Isn't that adorable?
Yeah, I'm bored of this now. Okay, let's move on from lunch cutting, because now I'm thinking there's like a whole industry I've missed. Like there's such a life I could have gone into. I could have been like coming up with shapes for sandwiches this whole time. Like what the fuck have I been doing with my life? Wow. You know, they need better counselors in school when they say like, what are you going to be as an adult? You know, and then they ask you questions and they tell you what you'd want to be. I feel like if mine was worth a damn, they would have known I should be a lunch cutter.
You know what? Like lunch cutting is actually should be embraced by the gay community, because it's really a low carb way to approach lunch, because you're literally cutting out bread from your sandwich, but you're doing it in a way that's fun.
But you're still eating the carb.
Well, but you're not eating as many carbs.
No, in the gay community, we embrace lunch skipping. Okay? And
Oh,
we're
I
going to
see
stay
what
that
you're
way.
saying.
Yeah.
Just full.
So Mads and Lucy are cleaning. Gary's tickling Daisy's chin. Bonnie's hugging everybody goodbye. And she's like, Colin, look after her. And don't fight. You're better than that. And just remember, Daisy's always going to be classier than you. And Daisy's like, wow, Bonnie's such a hurricane. She was a party in a glass.
She was a hurricane. She was a hurricane that came through the Parsifal 3 crew, which is kind of amazing that this boat is still standing, considering that the slightest breeze causes it to break down. So anyway, she's pretty spot on with her analysis with me and Gara, but my relationship with Colin is very different and full of sexual and alive chemistry. He's direct, he knows what he likes, and I think his calm nature is very attractive. You know, Ronnie, I think you're onto something. I think this is the sort of... These are the words you use when you're trying to convince yourself that you're into this person.
Well, she's just not into him. You know, I think she's trying to force it because Colin is so nice and he is so cute, and anybody with a brain can see that and sees like, why is Colin single? What's the deal with Colin? But if you're not into it, you're not into it.
Right.
What do you do? Can't make it happen.
What can you do?
Okay.
Yeah.
So Gary is talking to Colin now, and he's like, "Did you get it on last night with Daisy?" And Colin's like, "No, we just kissed." And he's like, "Sure, mate, sure."
And now Lucy is telling Daisy that they told Bonnie to kiss the boy that she fancied in the van. And she says, and Chase was sat here like this. And then she turned around and made out with Alex. And he was heartbroken. Daisy's like, that's too bad. So, hey, time for a preference sheet meeting. So, guess what? We have a new charter full of gays. And all of their names do not sound real. I looked at their names on the preference sheet. Okay, these are their names. Rob Funderburk, Madison Stutz, Wycliffe Shreve, James Dvorak. These were generated by ChatGPT. I'm telling you, these are not real names.
So were these people, actually, which is funny because I didn't believe any of the people either. I was like, where did they find these people? I feel like these people are playing bears. They're like, oh my God, let's do a movie about gay bears. Okay. Like from Palm Springs or whatever. And they just gassed it. I mean, they show up in full rainbow attire, bleach blonde, like little hair. I mean, it's just like something from a movie,
They are in it. They have rainbows all over everything, and they just have these wacky names. I mean, Rob Funderburk,
Rob
Madison
Thunderburg.
Stutz.
I mean, that is 80s, but this is all 80s porn names. If you were like ChatGPT, please cast Below Deck with where are they now 80s porn stars, and it's like Rob Thunderstruck.
Brian was sitting there. Brian, the primary, was sitting there with the clipboard and was like, okay, everyone, we're going on Below Deck. We're creating new names and new identities for each other. Okay, Rob, what would you like to be named? Rob. He's like, how about Rob Thunder? No. How about Rob Funderburk? Rob Funderburk. Like, all right, fine. Whatever you want to do.
I'll take it. So these people sound like the worst fucking people of all time. Okay.
Yeah.
They are set up to be just fucking terrible. And I cringed, of course, which you're supposed to, because we were set up to on this show.
Yeah.
But I was like, these are going to be the worst. Why are they doing this to us? Why? Brian has turned in 3 pages on himself. Just a bio of himself. His picture is like a headshot from the 80s.
It's like a clown headshot.
It's like Heather Dubrow's headshot. He's like,
and he's wearing a shirt that has little pizzas on it. It's like a very wacky community theater headshot, right? Like it's like, and now playing the lead in Blythe Spirits. What's the name of that play? Blythe. What's that play?
Blythe Danner Spirit. It's when Blythe Danner dies and she's just still disapproving of Gwyneth all over her house, just walking around going, vagina candles, good for you, honey.
So part of his bio or part of his preference sheet says, I don't expect the chef to be as versed in international cuisine as I am, so I ask that they not attempt to provide me any dishes from outside their wheelhouse. And Gary goes, meow.
Yeah,
I was like, excuse me, the guy in the pizza shirt is making this is saying that he's well versed in international cuisine. I think not.
I mean, he just comes off as awful, and he wants 10-course meals for every meal, and they want a pride dinner where every single course is a color of the rainbow, and they just sound horrible. And he's like, oh, and they want his toilet paper to be folded into roses one day and sailboats the next day. I was like, this guy is going to be terrible. And then I put his picture as like a wacky comedy headshot. I hate this fucking person. I fucking hate this. I quit this show.
Yeah. And on top of that, we had seen in the trailer that there's going to be a charter of gay people who are terrible, who are just like, Glenn has to yell at them and they're just sort of yelling at each other. So I was like, here they are, here they come. So, and then he also says, please understand that I expect my preferences as primary to supersede those of my guests. I was like, who is this lady who's going to be coming on?
Oh, and every single thing must be plated. Like, no family style for me, bitches. I was like, oh my God. And so Alicia's like, this is literally a nightmare. And so the captain's like, well, the level of service needs to be 5 stars. And we had issues on the last charter, so there's no room for mistakes. I'm sorry I can't get past this, but who wants their toilet paper folded into a rose? Every time I see my even toilet paper folded into a triangle, I have to take off the triangle and throw it away. I don't want other people's fingers on my butt. Unless,
Oh, interesting.
you know what I mean? That's your fingers on my butthole. You know what? I'll tell you whose fingers get to go on my butthole. Okay? You don't tell me you're going to put your finger. So now you're going to sculpt a rose. What am I going to shove the rose in my cornhole? Your finger rose? I don't want your finger rose in my cornhole. What if
Kiss
I'm
from a
dead?
rose.
They're going to find your fingerprints on my cornhole. You're going to go to jail. So make as many flowers as you want to, but eventually you're going to be in prison.
I don't have preferences about toilet paper embellishments, but I do enjoy the triangle. I definitely don't need a rose or a sailboat is I don't even know how one does that. I don't even know how they do the rose. Triangle, I mean, I'm down for a triangle because it's easy. You can just pull it, as opposed to like a fresh roll where you have to like find the area where it's like stuck to it, and if you get it wrong, you wind up taking like 2 layers in, and then as you pull it, you're pulling 2 layers at the same time, and it has like a weird like energy to it. So I like the triangle aspect of it. I'm not too concerned about the finger touching.
Keep your
the
hands
triangle.
keep your hands off my cornhole. That's what I say. Oh, also that hotel we just stayed in, I think it was the Boston Hotel. They what was that? A presidential stamp from like the from like the old days. I can't even come up with the time period, but where you had to pour wax down on the envelope, and then you had to stamp the wax with your seal. What was that? Why would they put toilet paper with a stamp like that? I had to try and rip through the roll of toilet paper. I had to rip through the roll of toilet paper. I wasted like 3 layers of toilet paper. I was like, bye, Earth.
I don't even know if there was a seal there. I'll tell you where they didn't have a seal or a triangle or anything, basically. Hotel Versi in Chicago. There, I said it on the main feed. I don't care. I'm calling out that terrible hotel. If you go to Chicago, do not stay at the Hotel Versi. The Days Inn hotel. It's a secret Days Inn, and do not stay there. It is a shitty hotel. Everyone.
It is a shitty hotel.
Hotel Versi. Don't be fooled by their cute photos online because they have cute photos.
Yeah, they suck, and they're not really that nice
terrible.
either. Okay, so Gary's like, so it's a nightmare, basically. They're all scared. So then Lucy is cleaning, and she's cleaning the glass door, and she's like, fucking Tim's face is still on here. Great.
God, his face has been stuck on there for a day and a half. So now Daisy's calling the provisioner, and now it's nighttime. People are winding down. People say some things that are unimportant. So now it's morning, and we have 6 hours until the charter, lots of cleaning, and Gary starts rubbing Daisy's back in the galley, and he's like, ooh, is everything okay between us, Daisy? Ex-lovers. And she's like, we were never lovers. And he's like, keeps on hugging on her and, being just gross, as usual.
Yeah.
What else?
Yeah, but he's being extra because he's competing. He's in competition mode. So he's like,
Yeah.
look at us, great team is always it is. She's like, why are you touching me? So then Chase and Alex are talking, and they're talking. Chase is like, yeah, Gary works, but he's not working on deck. And then we see Gary all over Daisy, and Alex is like, yeah, that dude is chaotic. Gary needs to be more mature. When your 2 subordinates are saying we're better off without you, that should be eye-opening.
Yeah. So provisions come through, and then Daisy is saying she's feeling the pressure to step it up and give the best service she can because she's on a mission. And then Glenn is like, is everyone ready to have a great charter? And now the guests are arriving. So these guests are coming down the walkway, and I was like, here comes some monsters. Look at these delightful looking monsters with rainbows and very sweet looking people in general. Well, they're still monsters. I believe they're monsters. They seem like they have to be monsters. I already said in my head they're monsters, but they seem so lovely and sweet.
I
already.
know. That's the thing, because they come down, and I was the same way. I was like, oh my God, this is my internalized homophobia, that because of how I was raised. And I was going through it, and I was like, no, like rereading these notes, I was like, no, they set these guys up to be like gay monsters, okay? And they were doing it on purpose. I feel like they were gay baiting. They were like gay bash baiting us.
They were.
And they
were
turned
dick
out
baiting
to be the literal sweetest people. I mean, they look like Care Bears, and they are Care Bears. They seem like the sweetest guys to ever be born.
This is how I guarantee that preference sheet happened. It's like, so what would you like? Hey, would you have any preferences for your toilet paper? Do you want like a rose or a sailboat? A rose or a sailboat? Wait, how about a rose one day and a sailboat the other day? Oh my God, this is wild. This is crazy. You know, like that's probably how it happened. Like he demands a rose one day and a sailboat the next day.
Or I don't think that he's had many wishes. You know what I mean? Like, I don't get the he doesn't seem snotty ever one time. Spoiler alert. This whole time, he does not seem snobby at all. And I feel like it's like a genie. It's like you accidentally ran into the genie thing, and the genie came out, and he's just like, "Give me a wish." And you're like, I could have a wish, and then you just go on for 3 pages because no one's ever asked Brian, like, Brian, what do you want? You know what I mean? And now someone is finally saying, Brian, what do you want? And he's like, what do I want? God, I wish I could have 10 dishes at every meal. That's what I want. You know what I want? To never eat at a buffet again. I hope that everything is on its own plate from now on. You know what I would love? A pride flag, but in food form. I want to eat a pride flag. You know what else I want? I want toilet paper folded into roses, folded into sailboats. Like, this guy's like about to sing a song in the middle of Little Mermaid about the dreams that he wants to achieve, you know?
He's thrilled.
We made it out to be like this fucking monster.
But he's actually lovely. And then when you look back at it, and when he says like, I demand that the chef only cooks things that are like in their wheelhouse, it's like, oh, he's probably saying like, oh, don't put yourself out. Do what you do. Do what you do best. I don't want you to have to worry about doing something you don't know how to do. Do what you're comfortable doing.
Exactly. So there's a guy in heels, and he's like, I just want to make sure I can't wear these on the boat, right? And everyone's like, oh my God, a man in heels. This is hilarious.
Yeah, that's how you know that by the way, is some privilege when you pack a pair of heels that you're only going to use for 5 seconds for a prop joke, because you know there's not a lot of space in bags, and you're going to dedicate some space to giant ass heels in your bag.
So you're saying that's like that's like the privilege
like
that the heels are getting?
No, that's his bag privilege, that he's like, I have enough miles that I can pack. I have enough status that I can have. I can pack.
I'm bringing
bags.
a bigger bag.
I can bring a bigger bag, and I know I won't have to wait long for it. You know.
Oh, I thought you meant like high heels have a privilege. Like, oh, there's high heels being snobby again, just being brought on to where they can't fit on.
No, because when you're trying to cram everything into carry-on, it is like, it is like Sophie's Choice with every article that goes into your bag. So if you're just bringing on heels for 5 seconds, but it worked. It was worth it. He made it into the trailer, I think. So then they're getting the yacht tour, and of course Brian is like just blown over by everything. He's like, oh my God, chocolates! I love chocolates. They have chocolates here. Soap in the shape of a swan.
By the way, this week's Dwell Hello, our House Hunters podcast, is a gay couple in Paducah, Kentucky. And I think that we're still doing the gay people in Paducah because no one talks like this, but we're both like, oh my God, I love this boat.
No, Brian talked like that. Brian legitimately talked like that. Yeah, they were all from North Carolina.
Oh, what a week for us, all these Southern gays.
Yeah, no, he was fully like, chocolate. So
he's like, I wish this was closer to the center of town, but otherwise I love it.
Oh, so they're like super happy. And then of course Alicia makes them skewers that have like rainbow fruit on them, because these are definitely gays that respond well to rainbows and rainbow branding, etc.
They love their pride. And we were just saying at the show we did, one of the shows we did this week, that we're like, do people really wear rainbows for Pride still? Because we saw a lot at a Pride parade, but I was like, I I don't think I've ever worn a rainbow. I'm a terrible gay, but not these gays. These gays are like, fuck it, we're wearing rainbows on everything.
Yeah, they were embodying the rainbow energy for sure.
They were. But it was like the old rainbow. And I feel like it's important to point that out because I know that there are people that have to be pissed off that all the rainbows were like the standard old rainbow and none of them are the new modern rainbows.
Exactly. Their rainbows did not include the colors for trans and did not have the black and brown stripes, etc. But
the new design, like the flag has new shapes, it has new colors, it has new. It's like a whole new flag.
A whole new flag, but
high flying flag.
Baby steps.
Baby steps, yeah.
Okay.
So they're getting ready to heal, guys. The sails are going up. Everybody's excited. Daisy, watch out. Hey, drawers, get prepared to open and close again. We're about to heal.
And they heal hard. So the boat's pretty much just like on its side. It's just like floating down the ocean, just like the sails are just touching the water. And everything's falling out, everything. And Daisy's like, it's so fucking unnecessary. And Lucy's like, fuck me. And the drawer, it heals so hard that I'm always talking about how every week the drawer comes sliding out in the bedroom. The drawer not only slides out, it actually just leaves its entire housing. It just like falls out onto the floor.
Yeah, it really does. So then Brian's like, oh, show us what you got, girl. That other boat over there is beating us, Colin. Don't let him get past us. And so they're like, we're racing now. So everybody keeps saying they're racing. Yeah. And the captain's like, the cherry on top is my job is to impress the guests. And then one of the gays goes, the best way to win a race? Don't tell the other people you're even racing. It's like, yes, I love that attitude.
Will work. Yeah.
So they're racing the other boat without telling them.
So the race concludes. So yeah, I'm not sure the other boat knew it was a race, to be honest. I think the other boat was
just
like,
so funny. They're like, we won. But the other boat wasn't even trying,
So now the sails go down. It's time to do some water sports, and the gays are all frolicking in the water. And then at one point, I think it was Brian he puts on like a tube that has like a little unicorn on it. It's like half deflated. And Gary sees it and goes, oh, no, you didn't. And Brian goes, yes, I did. And he goes, oh, well, it's a little floppy. And Brian goes, well, Jerry, after a certain age, that happens. And I was like, I love that Brian just called Gary Jerry. Just totally disregards him, basically.
And then the Ronnie gay, there's like a bald, like, kind of Uncle Fester gay there. And his name is Wycliffe. And they love to put Wycliffe's name on the screen because every time he comes on screen, they're like, Wycliffe. Oh, you heard it right. Wycliffe. Read it again.
You didn't know he's from the South.
Wycliffe.
Wycliffe.
He's like, I'll have some wine. I want to avoid scurvy.
I love that. And then Brian is back from the water. He's like climbing onto the naughty boy. So he starts doing like the Vicky Gunvalson fake clumsiness thing where he's like, he's like, I can't even get up onto my feet right now. I need some help, please. He's just tumbling around on the water. It's bouncy.
So one of the gays goes, I wonder what the chef is doing right now. And Brian goes, oh, she's got a 10-course meal tonight, honey. She's busy. Like,
yeah,
you little asshole. So then Alicia's like, I've done 10-course meals before and they've always been amazing. This is like the least, this is like the least time I've had to do something like this, though. I mean, generally you have days. It's a challenge, but, definitely it's one. I was like, I'm asleep now, okay? You can't go from like 10 gays having the time of their lives to Alicia talking nonstop about nothing. Cut her. Cut.
Yeah. We don't need 10 courses of explanation. So then Colin's asking Gary how things are going with Mads. And he's like, well, they're all right. Nothing amazing. She only really wants me when she's drunk. Oh, poor Gary. Poor Gary, who I believe did that literally to Ashley all last season. And so Colin's like, what the? That works for you, right? And he goes, well, I don't know. At the end of the day, Mads leaves after the season, and then this always happens. Poor Gary left alone.
Well, how do you feel about the whole Daisy thing?
Oh, I'm quite happy for you guys. I mean, you're my friend, she's my friend. Both of you are blah, 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 to me.
And he's like, but you don't have any feelings there.
No, I mean, I thought I did. But no, I'm actually happier as friends with Daisy.
Right. And Colin goes, oh, well, when did you figure that out? And he goes, well, pretty much the beginning of the season. Like, when we hooked up, I was like, okay, I don't see her anyway. I won't see her anyway. But then it's like, let's see what happens between me and Daisy and I this season. And Colin's like, you're such a douchebag. Because, like, you told me. I asked you and you said, like, no, nothing was going on. He's like, so you came into this season wanting something? He's like, oh, no, not wanting something. You just wanted to see if anything would happen, which is very different.
And he's like, but I asked you about that. And he goes, well, I wasn't sure about it. And Colin's like, Gary has contradicted himself so many times this season that I'm beginning to believe what he said. It's hard to believe now what he says. And then we see cuts of Gary just lying over and over again, you know. And he's like, he'll always be my friend, but I'm realizing he's one of those guys I just can't trust completely. Oh, really? Now you're realizing it? After watching him fuck people over year after year, it slightly happens to you and now you realize it? Well, that's what you get for being friends with people like that and egging that on, because it eventually always comes down to fucking you over the same way, sir.
Yeah.
Shit people are shit people. They're not just shit people to you. Okay.
Yep. So, and yeah, he's like, well, how I live and work on a yacht. Like, how do I know it's the right one? Because it's like a fairy tale we're living in. And Colin's like, yeah, it's confusing. So,
a fairy tale. It's like it's like maybe the first act of Cinderella. I don't know any other fairy tale where people are forced to like scrape this much shit off of toilets. But okay, I'll go with you.
I know. I'm waiting for the magic and the whimsy to kick in. It's like literally like it's a fairy tale, but like, let's go deeper with Rumpelstiltskin. Let's see what his life is like.
It's only got tragic and flimsy. So we go to decorating for dinner, and Chase is helping out Alicia, of course. And she's like, what you could do for me is read out the menu to me. And he does, and I refuse to write it down. Sorry.
I did not. I don't really read any. I stopped taking notes on dishes, really, unless they look really good. So the first thing that comes out, though, is an amuse-bouche. And so Brian goes, I love an amuse-bouche. I love being amused. And then the other guy is like, especially in your bouche. And they're like, oh. I was like, I love them. There's a fried olive. That I definitely do mention that. There is a fried olive. And then
well, these are interesting just to see what she does with all the different courses. So she does I said I was going to not write it down, but then once she served on my bed, because I was like, I want to see. So the first one was a gazpacho. The next one is a fried olive, and it's stuffed with pork and beef, and has a beetroot ketchup.
Yum.
And then Chase is helping Alicia, and Gary comes in and he goes, oh, hey, Gary, I hurt my back carrying the team.
And then a squash blossom goes up next, and Brian gets very excited about this. He's like, is it a squash blossom? Is it a squash blossom? It's a flower blossom. Oh, and she stuffed it. Oh, my God, I could cry right now.
Stuffed with lemon ricotta. Delicious. And then
thank you for painting the full picture.
I need to say it because it just doesn't sound amazing. God, I love a lemon ricotta and a squash blossom. Come on. So then, listen, I've been so mean to Alicia for no reason. Like, she's literally done nothing to anybody ever. She's the nicest person ever. I'm like, fuck her, fire her. So at least got to compliment the lemon ricotta and a squash blossom when I see it.
Yeah. So Glenn is noticing that the interior seems to be really stepping up, so he's really proud of them. And Alex is in his room watching a video about tantric breathing and how it affects male orgasms.
Tantric breathing is the way to master multiple male orgasms.
And then Gary's talking to Matt. He's like, well, I just want you to know I think you're an amazing person, blah, blah. And he's like kissing on her face. And Matt's like, what's happening here? What's going on? And then Gary starts talking about like, yeah, well, remember when you kissed me that first night? Because it was you who kissed me. And then Chase is like, what are you talking about? On that first night, she kissed me. You weren't even here. Which is a great it's a great insult to Gary to know he showed up second on the Madison train.
And Gary's like, oh, yes, and she needed better, so she kissed me. And Matt goes, if I wanted to upgrade, I would have kissed Alex. Ah! And everyone groans. And Gary's like, I can't believe you said that, Min.
It's like literally such a benign... It's like I don't know why it was shocking to anyone. Especially given her personality. Of course she was going to say that at some point. And he's like, whoa, ruthless. So he like stomps off and he sits with Colin and goes, that was ruthless, bro. I'm offended 100%. Yeah, like I could take a joke, but I don't think she meant that in a joking way. Blah.
She didn't, but how is it any different from her admitting she wants Alex to you while you're still publicly all over Daisy and trying to make out with Daisy and forcing kisses on Daisy? Like,
Exactly.
You fucking hypocrite. I love
If
that
you don't
they
want to
hired
be
Mads.
embarrassed about being a dirtbag, don't be a dirtbag.
Yeah.
So Madison tells Daisy what
Get
she
off
said.
the Hoover's back then. You know what I'm saying?
So Mads tells Daisy, and Daisy's like, oh, that was actually mean. That's actually something I would get upset about. Shut up, Daisy.
Matt's like, it was just a joke. So then Colin and Gary, Colin's like, so she thinks she likes Alex? And Gary's like, oh, they've both been into each other since day one. Well, then why didn't she hook up with him? He's like, I have no idea what's going on. Is it being brushed under the rug because of me? Is it karma? Yes, it is karma. I need to look at myself introspectively. Yeah, because you're the boss. And he can't just come in on his boss. It's not like you don't know that. Oh, you're so gross. You guys are so lucky there's no HR in Sardinia, this show. I feel like this is why this one goes so far away from everything. They just go to countries they know there's no HR.
Yeah, they just are in, yeah, exactly. So Colin's like, such a sloppy season. And he goes, I'm fucking over this, blah, blah. And that is the end of the episode. And things just get crazier the next episode, which we will also be recapping shortly after this one. Thanks everyone for listening.
We'll be back tomorrow with the next one. Okay, y'all.
Thanks for listening and thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Watch What Crappens would like to thank its premium sponsors. Ain't no thing like Allison King.
Ashley Savoni, she don't take no baloney.
She's not just a Sheila, she's a Daniela. Itchels. Aaron McNicholas, she don't miss no trickolas.
She's never scary. It's the Green Fairy.
Hava Nagila Weber.
Jamie, she has no last namey.
Sipped some scotch with Jessica Trotch.
Kristen the Piston Anderson.
She's always supplying, it's Kelly Ryan.
Megan Berg, you can't have a burger without the Berg.
You're never alone with Lacey Monteleone.
Let's give a kisserino to Lisa Lino.
There ain't no problem that Sarah Salvia can't solve ya.
Ruru LaRue.
The Bay Area Betches.
And our super premium sponsors, the incredible edible Matthews sisters.
Somebody get us 10 cc's of Betsy MD.
She's not harsh. She's Jill Hirsch.
We're taking the gold with Brenda Silva. Erica, 500 Days of Summers.
She's the queen bee. It's Sarah Lemke. We love him madly. It's Kyle Pod Shadley.
Don't get salty with Christine Pepper. Let's go on a bender with Lauren Fender.
My favorite Murdo, Karen McMurdo.
Nobody holds a candle to Jamie Kendall.
Give him hell, Miss Noel.
Can't have a meal without the Emily Sides.
Let's get real with Caitlin O'Neill.
We want to hang with Liz Lang.
Shannon, out of a cannon, Anthony. Let's take off with Tamla Plain.
She ain't no shrinking Violet Kuchar. We love you guys.
Hey Prime members, you can listen to Watch What Crappens ad-free on Amazon Music. Download the Amazon Music app today. Or you can listen ad-free with Wondery Plus in Apple Podcasts. Before you go, tell us about yourself by completing a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.
Raising kids can be one of the greatest rewards of a parent's life. But come on, some days parenting is unbearable.
I Love My Kid, But is a new parenting podcast from Wondery that shares a refreshingly honest and insightful take on parenting. Hosted by myself, Megan Gailey, Chris Garcia, and Kurt Braunohler, we will be your resident not-so-expert experts. Each week, we'll share a parenting story that'll have you laughing, nodding, and thinking, oh yeah, I have absolutely been there.
We'll talk about what went right and wrong. What would we do differently? And the next time you step on yet another stray Lego in the middle of the night, you'll feel less alone.
So if you like to laugh with us as we talk about the hardest job in the world, listen to I Love My Kid, but wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen ad-free on the Amazon Music or Wondery app.
Celebrity beef, you never know if you're just going to end up on TMZ or trending on Twitter or in court. I'm Matt Belisai.
And I'm Sydney Battle, and we're the hosts of Wondery's new podcast, Dis and Tell. Each episode explores a different iconic celebrity feud. From the buildup, why it happened, and the repercussions, what does our obsession with these feuds say about us?
We're starting off with a pretty messy love triangle between Selena Gomez and Justin and Hailey Bieber. A seemingly innocent TikTok of Selena talking about her laminated eyebrows. It snowballed into a full-blown alleged feud.
But it doesn't seem like fans are letting up anytime soon, despite both Selena and the Biebers making public statements denying any bad blood. How much of this is teen jealousy and lovers quarreling, and how much of it is a carefully crafted narrative designed to sell albums?
Follow Dis and Tell wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen ad-free on the Amazon Music